Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. This is Smart Business Moves.
Hey, y'all.
It's Thursday. It's the end of the week.
Yeah, it's Smart Business Moves Friday. Yeah, it is. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm doing okay, I guess. I'm doing fine. Trying to figure out where the day went. A lot of motion. I'm not sure how much movement. You ever have a day like that?
No, Tom, never. Not even once.
Never happened to you?
Even once, Tom. Why you got to call me out, Tom? What I ever do to you? I've been so happy all day. For this whole 50 seconds that we've been on this call, I've been fine.
It's true. I was behind the curve. I was slow.
Hey, Linda. I've actually never seen you be that late, Tom. I don't think. You're not a late person.
I was on the other call, though, and I was really trying to get off, and it was...
Yeah.
Then, I got into the traffic.
What they say about excuses, Tom, right?
Yeah, I'm just... No excuse. I'm just incompetent.
Yeah, that's what it is. I can attest to the fact that gentleman likes to talk. I had a call with him yesterday right before this meeting, and I told him that I had to be off at 1:55, and just so he knew that I didn't mean 1:56, I would end up having to hang up the phone. So I didn't want him to be rude. I didn't want him to think I was rude. He let me off, but it was tight. 1:55 and 50 seconds probably. All right, Linda, you're the only one here today. Where's Denise? Come on, y'all, say hi. Leslie, I haven't seen Leslie in at least a day. 2 days? I'm not sure.
I don't know if she was here yesterday or not. I didn't see her.
No, she wasn't here. Or if she was here, I didn't see her. Yeah. She usually says hi. Hey, Susan. I've had more complaints about deep cleans in 3 weeks than ever in my business. So upsetting. Back to training. So I'm here to calm down. All right, good.
All right.
That's interesting, though. Today, and we had an open call in one of our MMA groups, and we spent the whole hour talking about initial cleans and deep cleans today. So I don't think you're the only one, Susan, if that helps. I mean, we literally spent an entire hour talking about this today. How to charge, how best to set the expectations so that the customers are happy, and how to be successful with them.
Anybody have any theories as to? Is there any people saying that they're having trouble with them and customers are expressing their displeasure?
So what we were talking about pretty much was 2 different problems. When the customers call and say, "Oh, I don't need a deep clean," for that first time clean. I don't know. Oh, there's Denise. Hey, Denise. I don't need a deep clean. It's either a brand new house or I've had a house cleaner for years, and I just, I'm changing and I need a new somebody, either that scenario where they don't want to pay for the deep clean. They don't want that initial deep clean, or the second where they're saying that they only want this service and then they're not happy afterwards. So either way, it ended up, we talked a lot about setting expectations and how to massage the message so that you can still get what you want and get them to want it too. So but my point was that there's a lot of this must be going on right now simply because we had a whole call about it. Fitting the first cleans too short, the cleaners rush to try and finish in the time we allow, which wasn't accurate. Yet we talked about that as part of the problem. When there's not enough time allotted, then the cleaning professionals race through. It doesn't get done well, or depending on how they get paid, if they're getting paid commission and you're not charging enough, it was an hour. So obviously we talked about a lot of stuff. The complaints are legit based on photos, so I think we need to retrain on deep cleans. Yeah. Just double check, Susan, how much time they spent. So if they didn't get the work done and they left early, then yeah, that's a problem. But if they used up all their time and they didn't get all the work done, you might have a different issue there. And I know that's not what we're talking about today on Smart Business Moves, but just because
We can.
yeah, we run the show. Yay.
Talk about what we want.
Yeah. I want to get through this last bit here.
If you guys had enough KPIs, let's just be real. I mean, this started off and this was really cool, but we had kind of there's a lot to this, and we've said at the beginning that we didn't want to go through it too fast because we've been able to do this entire presentation that we've been taking like for the last, what feels like a couple months.
Weeks.
Yeah, and kind of blow through the whole thing in an hour if we chose to.
So that's an issue. One gal spent 6 hours on a kitchen. Okay, so I mean, I hate to just say bad employee, right, without knowing any more information, only because I personally have spent 6 hours in a kitchen before when the grease was baked into the paint, or just a lot of detail-y work that was really built up. Heather Canning uses the term old dirt versus new dirt. So a lot more old dirt. So yeah, sorry. Okay, Denise, you want to be done? Would you like to be done with KPIs today? What do you think? Or are you good for, I think we have one more week, right, Tom? We have 4 more days.
Yeah, we can get this done by this time next week.
Yeah, we still have another week.
I mean, we could get it done today. We could today.
We could just say, never mind, we're not doing any more. But ideally, we have scheduled to get everything done by next week. What do you think about that? So what do you think, Denise? I would like for someone to set up my spreadsheets for me, and I'll fill in the numbers. Dude, you actually have a spreadsheet that has all of the key information that you need already set up for you. All you have to do is fill in the numbers. So, first nail these 5 that you are already tracking, Denise. And once you get those nailed, then we'll work on the next batch. All right, Tom, what are we doing?
Okay. So in all honesty, we are a lot closer to being done than what we might think that we are. We spent a fair amount of time drilling on the average bill per cleaning because we wanted to get into the idea of normalizing the actual times to do it just for who the cleaner was. And I think that we've done that.
Yeah.
No, Liz, I'm guessing with the other numbers.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of numbers that you want to be tracking, right? Tom's got a really good example here. We've got 12 numbers that are all really excellent numbers to be tracking. But really, if you can nail those 5 numbers that are in your MMA worksheet, Denise, you're going to find that most of these numbers are going to be considered within those. Not all of them, but the majority of them. So if you've got those 5 numbers nailed and you've got them to as high as you want them to be and as low as you want them to be, then all right, you let me know and I'll help you get your spreadsheet up to snuff with some of these other numbers. Actually, they're already in there. They're probably just hidden. All right.
These 5 numbers, or these 4 numbers, green numbers here, and these 2 red numbers here really determine what your revenue growth or loss is going to be, which coincidentally gets back into this model. If you want to boil it down to the real essence of what we're trying to do here, there's 3 numbers that we really need to manage. It's the money that comes into the business, the revenue, it's our variable costs, the money that we have to pay to the professionals who clean the homes for us. We're calling it loaded direct payroll to revenue. In this case, 45%, or the loaded direct payroll would be $45,000. And the third number is the operating expense. all the other money that you spend over the course of the month to run your business, that's fixed or semi-fixed. If you manage those three numbers, you're managing your business. And if you manage them properly, you're going to be profitable and you're going to be able to do all the other things that you aspired to do and you got into your business to begin with. But if you don't manage those three numbers well, then it's probably going to be a bad experience for you, for the people that work for you, and the people that you serve.
Yep.
So
agreed.
I'm going to take this revenue number, and this is what we're going to be talking about today, which is determined by these 4 green numbers and these 2 red numbers.
Okay.
So we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about each one of these green numbers and each one of these red numbers. We spent time talking about the average bill per cleaning, and we've already explained why we did that. The loss rate, we spent some time talking about this, right?
Yeah, I'm reading Susan's question here.
Wondering if we ever addressed a question from last week, asked at the end of the time, didn't hear about it. So it's a good idea to add something.
We did talk about this, Susan. You must not have been on that next day. We had a pretty decent conversation about how people do this. Some people will put something in the QDS to let the customers know, but sometimes you have to be careful because you might not get as good of information. There you are, Leslie. We were talking about you. Ears were burning, right? That you take a risk of not getting as accurate of information if your customers are just trying to give you or trying to give your cleaning professional.
I'm not giving it, if they think that if they look at it like a tip, you know, if somebody wants to give a bad review, if somebody wants to give you 1 star, you want to give them the opportunity to do that too.
Yeah. So it just, I think what we ended up talking about was that usually it's better to have that piece about how you're rewarding the staff in a separate program, some other thing that you're doing, and trying to keep your surveys really clean and tight and with as much integrity as possible. So trying not to throw anything in there that could modify them.
And, you know, even if it's a bad, you know, scorecard, you could argue, you know, if the team is soliciting the feedback and is an active part of getting that feedback, in some regard, you're better off getting, you know, a 1-star review, a bad scorecard, than you are getting a good one, if indeed that was how the customer felt. Because, you know, last thing you want is customers out there feeling like they're getting 1-star service and they're not telling you.
Yeah, that's definitely the worst. So we did run a program we've run a lot of different programs around this idea, and we did run one where, do you remember that one we did in Atlanta, Tom, way back in the beginning, where I think that people got the number of points based on the rating or something like that. So if you got a 4-star or a 5, then you would get 5 points. But if you got a 1, you still got a point. The only thing you didn't get a point for was no. So if they didn't give us any feedback, then you got no points. And I can't remember. I don't think that's exactly how it went. It was like maybe a 1 and a 2 both got 1 point or something like that. And because I'm sure it was simpler than all these different points trying to track, et cetera.
The message you want to, at least my opinion, the message you want to send to your stakeholders, both your cleaning professionals as well as your clients, you want as much feedback as possible. And you're not putting any filters on it in terms of, I want all the good feedback I can get, but don't give me the bad feedback. You want all the feedback.
Yeah. I think most people would agree that your company grows more from the negative feedback than it does from the positive feedback. The positive feedback, you just take it in. You're like, okay, good. I'm cool. I'm great. But the negative feedback, you bring it in. You're like, okay. So what can we do? How can we fix this? What do we need to change? So you actually have an opportunity to make change over the feedback that maybe isn't so stellar. That's why those words are so good too, right? I don't like getting feedback that isn't the top score with no words. So like a 3 on a scale of 1 to 5, and somebody gives you a 3. Like, okay, so how helpful is that? Not at all, right? It's like, can't do anything. You almost feel more stuck, more frustrated. Yeah, Leslie. Got it. Thanks so much. Yeah, I like a lot of feedback. Yeah. Feedback is so nice. Yeah. So nice. The more you can get, the better. It's true. That's why so many people, and QDS does an excellent job of this too, of measuring the percentage of feedback that you get based on how many you send out, right? You send out 100, you only get back 45. Okay, you got a 45% return rate. Well, that's a really important number.
So let's do we want to build a spreadsheet and show how those 4 green numbers and those 2 red numbers all play together to determine what our revenue growth is or lack thereof?
I always do love a spreadsheet, especially when I'm not the one building it. I love having them.
What are we going to say? Let's get into 2021 here. Let's say $150 for that. And the next one is average quotes per week. And we said 10 in our spreadsheet, but let's say 25. We can do better than 10, not 250. That's a bit ambitious. What we aren't showing here is there's something that precedes a quote, which is a lead, right?
Yeah.
And that's not part of our model. It could be. We could have that in here.
I definitely think you want to be tracking leads if this is a new marketing channel for you. If you're using a new marketing channel, you need to be tracking the leads off that. But I can see why you're not always tracking the leads.
And the reason I do this is we've coached people, and this isn't uncommon, and they don't have as many homes to clean as they need. They don't have as many jobs as they need, and they think it's a marketing problem. Mm-hmm. It's like, I need to advertise more because I need to generate more revenue. And then you talk a little bit, and it's like, yeah, I get these emails from people who want a quote, and I never have time to respond to them. So they're not tracking leads, they're basically tracking jobs. But, if I've got leads that I'm not even responding to, then that's not a marketing problem, that's a sales problem. Have you seen that, Liz?
We're both thinking of the exact same person, Tom, that at Foundations, how many did she have sitting in her email? In the 20s, right?
What number, what percentage of leads should we quote?
Well, why? I don't understand why it wouldn't be 100. What do you mean?
Now, I'm gonna say 90.
Why?
Because not all quotes not all leads are the same.
Okay.
Sometimes it depends where you get your leads from. Some leads are a lot more qualified than others.
Okay.
If you get a call from Mrs. Jones and she wants a quote because her neighbor's Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Smith referred you, then you better quote 100% of those, and you better close a large majority of them, because they don't get it. You don't get any better leads than that.
Okay.
But say you're buying leads from Home Advisor or Angie's List or something, and they just kind of trickle in with a email, and some of those they don't even respond, right?
I still think you need to respond to them if the
Well,
lead.
you do, but you might not be able to quote them. You've got the lead, but all you have is like a name and an email address. It's a lead. And
I don't quote them.
I'm sorry?
I don't know why you wouldn't. The only ones I can think that you wouldn't quote are people that are outside of your service area.
How can I quote somebody if all I have is a name and an email address?
Well, no matter how they reach out to you, they give you some way to contact them. You can at least give them maybe it's not a full quote, but you could give them some type of a quote to suck them into if they've got an email or a phone.
My name's Tom Stewart. My email address is tom@castlekeepers.com. Are you going to tell me how much you're going to charge me to clean my house?
I'm going to give you a pricing matrix that says, great, Tom, we definitely would need more information to give you a tighter quote, but here's an idea of what cleaning costs in our area. So this size house is this much, this size. And maybe that's not actually a quote, Tom. Maybe that's like just
that stuff on your website. I mean, that's not a quote. I mean, I wouldn't call that a quote. A quote is based on a scope of work.
Okay. Well, now we know what definition of quote is. Okay.
And you can have a loose scope of work and dial it in, with more detail. But if you don't have square footage or a number of bedrooms and bathrooms, if you don't have something, you don't even know where to begin. Anyway, based on this discussion,
90%. And we're talking about a quote is based on scope of work. You're giving them something, some type of a price that's for their particular home. It's tailored to them in some way, even if it's broad. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's big.
What bigger, but oops, that's too small. What is this, like Goldilocks here?
No, that would be Alice in Wonderland.
No, Goldilocks. Too big, too hot, too cold, too soft, too.
I got you. And just right. There you go.
Okay, now it's getting all dumb on me here. I'll try this.
There's your Goldilocks version right there, Tom. It's perfect. Just right.
Okay, so now what would the next number be off of our spreadsheet? Average.
Susan? Hopefully it's big enough. For me, I have such a huge monitor that it's easy for me, but I know it's not for everyone.
But if you're giving quotes over the phone, or if you're giving quotes through like an online booking tool, just the close rate on recurring, we said 30% in some of our previous numbers, I believe. So let's just go with that for the moment. Average cleans per month per home. And we said 2 the other day, right?
Yep.
Now, all of these are green numbers, right? We would want these numbers
bigger.
The bigger the better for these numbers.
Yep. Bigger, better, more.
Then we've got the average. Goodness gracious. Average loss rate.
Okay.
Percent per home per month. And we're going to say 5%, which isn't awesome, but I think that's kind of an industry average. When we say average canceled cleanings, we're going to call these skips, where Mrs. Jones calls up and says, hey, just my house isn't dirty this week. Don't bother to come by, but just come back your normal time 2 weeks from now.
So they're not canceling service. They're just skipping a cleaning so that they're just losing the revenue for this one job, this one time, potentially.
This number's all over the board. And I guess especially during COVID, it's almost hard to, COVID numbers are, you want people to skip. if anybody's sick in their home, you want to make it really easy for people to skip. If I said 10%, you think that's a reasonable number?
Yeah, I've seen that number a lot, Tom.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's we'll just do like week. This will be like week 1, week 2, and we'll make that look a little better. So we want to start off with the number of homes. And let's do this. We'll go ahead and we'll put something up here. Let's say that we're starting off with 100 homes.
Okay.
And that's not a red number or a green number. That's just a number. It is what it is. I mean, you want it to be as high as you can, but for the sake of this, that's just kind of where you're starting. And obviously, these two numbers here are red numbers.
Okay, so I don't understand, Tom. I thought all of these numbers are just where you're starting.
Well, they are, but these are the numbers we're going to be driving.
Oh, okay. And we're not going to worry about the 100. We're just going to continue using that same number. I get you.
Yeah, that's what we're starting with.
Okay.
So what are we going to do? You're going to gain homes. You're going to lose homes. You are going to have homes at end of week. So what is this going to look like? How am I? What's my gain going to be? I would have to take the number of leads I'm getting per week, multiply that times the number of quotes I'm actually getting out of those, and multiply it times my recurring close rate.
Okay.
This is where I guess a Zoom call would be really awesome, because if anybody had any questions at this point, they could ask.
I think this information right here, Tom, while you're laying it out and putting it in, it all makes sense. But it's as soon as it's done, I forget what it is again. Right? So what is it again? I forget. How do we get that number? I also have a question, Excel question. Why did you put the little dollar signs in there?
Because I can drag that down now, and this will always be coming from B3. Whereas if I didn't put that dollar sign, and if I drag it down, that 3 would change to 4 and to 5 and 6.
Gotcha. So B with the, oh, I love that. I didn't know that. So a dollar sign in between the fields will keep it the same.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I'm so happy to learn that.
So like over here, lost homes is going to be the number of homes that we have, which is 100 times our loss rate of 5%.
Yeah.
Let's think about this. These are homes gained per week, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So in order for this to be right, I need to take that 5% and divide it because that 5% is a monthly loss rate, so I've got to divide that by 4.33333, correct?
Yep. And you guys all remember why we're doing 4.333, right? Because that's the average number of weeks in a month. It's not actually 4.
And I'm going to drag this down.
Okay.
So I'm going to put a dollar sign in front of the 7 because I don't want it. I want it to always be coming out of the cell here. But I'm not going to put a dollar sign in front of the 13 because when I drag it down, I want it to go to 14, 15, 16.
Right. I got you. That's great. That's good news.
And I'll do, make that look a little bit better. So the homes at the end of the week would be what I started with plus what I gained minus what I lost. That's pretty cool, right?
Yep.
So start of the next week is going to be what I ended the previous week. Rinse and repeat.
Okay, so I have a question. Why did you do the leads per week? Why did you do all of that stuff by the week and you did the other stuff by the month? Why confuse the issue? Why not keep the recurring, the rate, the time frame, frequency, the same?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
This is my school of thought on that. I've always found it easier to manage the sales process, the revenue gained and lost process on a weekly basis. But when you're actually tracking your loss rate, if you do it on a monthly basis, it gives you a more leveled number. Because if you do it from week to week, you might lose 2 customers one week and none the next week, and then 3 the next week, and the numbers are just flying all over the place. Where if you do it on a monthly basis and comparing month over month, it gives you a more useful number. Where you're comparing week over week, it's just static. Does that make sense? No?
I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not understanding the logic, because the same thing can be said of the leads and the quotes. Sometimes you get in a whole bunch and the next week you don't get in very many. So wouldn't you want to use the monthly number for that too, or always use the weekly so you could see how they compare? I just don't understand why you use both. I
find it easier to manage the revenue gaining activities. Not even necessarily easier, more value added, a more profitable exercise to drill on a week to week basis, because those green numbers are so important. The loss numbers are important too.
Yeah.
And you're tracking every loss, and you're doing you're going to break down and do a corrective action review, if you will, if you're losing a customer based on something that really is most of them are preventable, but some of them are more egregious than others in terms of losses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll think more about it. I just always like loss rate on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Whereas if I'm measuring my sales part on a monthly basis, I can be screwing up for 3 weeks. It's just, there's more accountability if you do that on a weekly basis. You could argue you could do the loss rate on a monthly basis as well. The numbers fly all over the place, though.
I do like weekly because I like to see, and I also like to see, like, do I lose a lot of them at the beginning of the month, like in that first week, or do I lose a lot at the end of the month? Or, I do like to see that. So I understand the reasoning. One is easier. And I guess you know me too, Tom. I focus so much on retention that loss rate for me, I don't want to see it. I'd like to see it daily. Actually, I do watch it daily. We have it on a whiteboard every single day, because that number is big for me. It's important. That number makes me nervous. The number's going out the back door.
Job scheduled per month would be the number of homes I have at the end of the week or the number of homes I have at that point in time,
Yeah.
times the number of cleans per month per home.
What's the difference between homes, in this case, homes at the end of the week, and jobs scheduled per month? This is like how many cleanings? Is job schedule the same thing as average cleans?
Yeah. If I got 400, if I got 105 homes, and on average I get 2 cleanings per month per home, then that's 211. I mean, it's just 2 times this number.
You know, I get caught up in the lexicon. So when I saw average cleans, I thought it was different than jobs scheduled.
Right. Well, I'm not quite to the job. Well, this is semantics too. This is where I'm going with this. I'm plugging in the job skipped.
Okay.
Maybe. And that would be this number times this.
10%. Yikes.
And it's not a dollar amount. And so this is the actual jobs cleaned, let's say.
Okay.
Because the semantic up here, maybe we should change this a little bit. Maybe it's actually average jobs scheduled, because we calculate this number based upon how many, every week, how many every other week, how many every 4-week recurring service sets you have, and do the math to get this number.
Okay.
And this number is based on assuming that you never skip a job, which isn't true. So that has to be.
And I see why this one is done by the month instead of by the week. This one really makes sense to me as being by the month.
So I'm going to go ahead and put a dollar sign here. And I'm going to go ahead and put, I don't need a dollar sign there. I'm good. So I can drag all these guys down. Maybe.
Should you switch your decimal before you do it?
Like that?
Yeah.
You don't want to see any of these, do we? Is that better?
Yes, it is for me. Yeah. Makes me work too hard.
Are you okay with this?
I like those. Yeah. I especially like the homes gained at 6.75.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I might have to go a little bit smaller because I need a little more real estate.
You still able to see okay, Susan? Let us know if it starts causing trouble again. It's especially hard to see some of these things when you're on your phone. Woo-hoo.
So the revenue per month would be the number of jobs we actually cleaned times the average bill rate per cleaning, which we said was up here. And I need to put a dollar sign in front of that guy. Bang. And we'll put a dollar sign there, and we don't need decimals there. Cool.
Yep.
Do we want to know what else do we need to know? Well, that's just it for the moment. Let's just stop right there.
Okay.
If you remember, I'm going to go ahead and go back to this. If you remember, the whole point of this is to get this number, because there's 3 big numbers that you want to be able to get this whole discussion is about profit, right? And there's 3 numbers that factor into profit at the highest level. Revenue minus your cost of goods sold, which is your loaded direct payroll, minus your operating expense gives you your net profit. And we're showing you where this revenue comes from, and we're doing it in this spreadsheet right here. So we can just kind of take this guy here now and drag him down again. And I can just go wee and go crazy.
Forever.
So these are weeks. So if I wanted to go out 10 years, that would be 520 weeks, right? I don't know if I need to go out that far.
Let's see. What do we got here?
Got a bunch of numbers.
Something. Oh, I see. Okay.
Now, you see what happens is after time, you start with 100 homes and we go to 106, 111, 117. We're growing, and our revenue's going up. And then it starts to, these numbers kind of look the same week after week, right? And then you get to the point where they are the same week after week after week. If I could go down on this a little bit, maybe that's too much. And go up here and let's see if we can do a graph. And we'll make him bigger. This is our revenue curve. So all things being equal, we're growing fast until we get to the point where we got more customers. And you remember, we got more customers, we have more customers to lose, and get to the point that everything you're selling is just replacing stuff that you're losing, and you're flat, all things being equal. So that's where we have to make the green numbers go up and the red numbers go down.
So show an example, Tom, like make one of the green numbers go up or one of the red numbers go down, and show how things change that quickly.
Let's make a red number go down. This is probably one of the most valuable things that you can do in the process. If you can improve your quality, improve your customer service, and retain more of your recurring business. And we talked about that for a good while the other week. But if I take that 0.5 and just knock it down to 0.4, if you see, we're flatlining here just right under $160,000. Can you guys see that?
Yep, I can.
Okay.
I don't know if everybody else can.
And now we're flatlining at about $200,000.
Yep, just under. So we're going to be making more money before we start to flatline if nothing else changes. But of course, you're not going to have a situation where nothing changes. For how many years did you put up there, Tom?
This is 10 years by the time that you get out here. But if I go down here, if I'm starting off with 100 homes and revenue of $28,000 a month, at that rate, by the time I get out to 100, and this number right here is like 2 years out, I'm what, 140 grand? Yeah, 140,000. So I went from 30,000 to 140,000 right here. I'm smoking.
But on the flip side, if you've been following along with us every day, you wouldn't be at 2 years and have those numbers be the same, because would you still have the average bill per clean at 150 2 years out? Probably not, right? That number is probably going to be closer to 160. So 2 years out, if you'd been making those changes, where would we be? Now we're making quite a bit more 2 years out.
So if I go down here, yeah, I'm about 150, I suppose. And this is on a monthly basis. So that's about another 10 grand a month, which is like 100,000 a year.
Which is just making those price increases, those little price increases, right? In this case, we did $5 per year, right?
Just to go ahead and
how about hit the skips, Tom? Because skips is I think a really great number that a lot of people don't even look at. They just never think that it's a big deal. But when you start adding up the cost of all of your skips, it can be a lot more than you think.
you could get it down to only 5%. I got here 2 years. Now I'm above the 150,000. That's about another $5,000 a month more that I'm getting.
That's just from keeping your customers from skipping, which means instead of when they say that they want to skip because it's clean, convincing them to maybe move a day or something like that. Instead of getting locked out, not cleaning at all, then finding a way to get that cleaning done. And you can't always, that's why we got it at 5%, even when we lowered it.
Yeah. It was at 10. Now it's at 5. Yeah. If, you get the number of leads up, you get the revenue up. I mean, obviously, any of the green numbers is going to drive this up more. But
let's put that average recurring close rate, Tom, up at 50%, because that number can be done if you are connecting a little bit more with the people on the phone, etc. Instead of, you're going to have a lower one if you're dealing with booking that's coming directly from your website and that type of stuff. But if you're talking to some of these people, and I know some companies that are actually doing a little bit more, going back to doing a little bit more in-home estimates. So
the in-home estimate, yeah, I mean, a lot of it is the quality of the lead. I mean, or part of it definitely is.
Absolutely.
And the in-home estimate is an interesting phenomenon because if it's not a quality lead, you're not going to get the in-home estimate.
Right. You're not going to.
Somebody's just casually, playing around on a website, and I'll throw my name in there. I don't care. And they wake up the next morning and they forgot they did it. Then, that might not be a quality lead. But if they actually let you go into their home, they're serious.
Yeah, it's quality. Most people that have done in-home estimates, if you've been in business for a while and you've done in-home estimates, you know that those leads usually close very high 90s for a lot of people for the in-home estimate. That's not all your leads, obviously, but those in-home ones are really good.
That's interesting. If you do the math on that, and remember, it wasn't that long ago we did the what's a recurring lifetime value of a recurring customer.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get a higher close rate, and the people that are going to invite you into their home, they're not looking for a one-time clean.
And they stay longer too. We used to track that pretty regularly, and our people that we did the in-home quotes for stayed a lot longer. I don't remember those numbers off the top of my head anymore, but they were a lot longer. I want to say double, but I mean, I wouldn't swear to that number.
And why would that be? Why do you think that would be?
Well, I think it's because they feel like they have a relationship with you, and it's not a company that they're dealing with. They're dealing with a person.
It's the relationship. And if you get back to the definition of quality, like the ServQual model, it's expectations and perception.
Absolutely.
And, your ability to set the expectation and make sure that, you're talking apples and apples as opposed to fruit, and you show up with the wrong fruit, you're going to do a whole lot better getting those expectations right if you're actually in the home.
A whole lot better. So there are people that are going, okay, so not always, but a lot of times what you want to be doing is whatever your competition isn't doing, right? You have to do what your competition is doing also. But if you can do something more or better than they're doing, you're going to win more quotes. So back in the day, everybody did in-home. So switching from in-home to like just phone quotes, that had you closing a lot more jobs for a while there, because people were so happy to not have to have somebody come to their house, and you were the only one that would give them a quote over the phone, and they were thrilled. They're like, okay, sign me up. So that was great. But now everybody does phone quotes or web quotes, and so now it looks like there's an opening again for those people who are willing to go in and do an in-home quote. I know a few companies that are doing that. I mean, there are other costs connected to that though, right? There's a big time suck on your in-home quotes versus phone. So did you change that to 50? Yeah. Where were we at 2 years with that?
2 years, you are up here
Woo. That's a
to like 230,000. Not even quite. I got to go a little bit further.
yeah, that's not even 2
Yeah,
years.
about 240.
245, almost 250,000.
That's like a $3 million a year business there. So if you ever wonder, what does it look like to build a $3 million a year business, and you're not even flatlining yet, you're up here to 350. So you're over 4, you're about 4.5 once you start flatlining. But getting that 50% close rate is higher than the norm for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Especially because remember, when we're talking about close rate, we're talking about all of the leads, this term that we decided with leads that are legit leads, where you're giving a quote to a specific person about their own home. But that's whether it's by the web, by your website, or by a book online, or a phone quote, or however you're giving those. And so those are much harder to close. I think everybody would recognize that your online booking doesn't close at anywhere near the rate that your other types of booking close at. And if yours do, yay, share your wisdom. What are you doing different? How are you making that happen?
So if you look at this too, this is 25 leads a week. We're not even quoting all of them. We're quoting 90%. So that would be like 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still almost 5 a day,
Mm-hmm.
4.5 a day on the average.
Yeah.
So if you had one person doing, in-home estimates full time, then theoretically that's what it could look like. And if you're able to keep your loss rate at 4%, all things being equal, and get an average of every other week service, which you're going to, if you're doing in-home estimates, I think that you get more higher frequency recurring revenue as well.
Yep. Agreed.
We haven't seriously done in-home estimates in a while. We used to kind of lead with that.
Mm-hmm.
Got me thinking now, Liz.
I know.
These numbers look good, don't they?
Yeah, I know. And the market opens back up for different things, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And there's a time, I mean, like everybody's kind of shifted to, got away from that and wanted to do phone and then like online booking and all that's good, but.
So let's see how they do, because the companies that are trying it, they're not convinced that they're going to have success yet. And that's because the market has also shifted. People want things faster. So it's not clear that people are going to want an in-home estimate either, unless they can get it today. If I can get an in-home estimate today, right now, and still get my cleaning starting tomorrow, I might be in. But the in-home estimates aren't going to look the same today as they did 10 years ago when we were doing them. It's just like fashion. In fashion, all of the styles come back, but they're never exactly the same, right? So high-waisted pants come back, but they don't look the same. They're not exactly the same. Now it's jeans with a tight leg instead of before it was.
So if you break the ones out that you have from the 80s, people are going to know.
They're going to know. Yeah, they look like they're from the 80s. And they don't quite fit the bill right now. And so it's the same thing. So in-home estimates aren't going to be exactly the same as they were before. If they work now, there's going to be a shift.
Well, there's technology. So rather than going in with a clipboard and, 2-part form, writing stuff out, I'm assuming you're going to be carrying a tablet and you're going to be doing it, in a more automated way. And when you're done, you're going to have their email address and you're to send it to them, right?
That's how we were doing them before we stopped, though. So to me, that would be the same.
Or you mean before you took a break from doing it?
Yeah, exactly. Because we might start again. I don't know. We right now do like one a month. And that's for like little old ladies that are like, no, I need somebody to come and look at my house. I don't think you understand, blah, blah, blah. So we do some, but I'm not sure that the people that are getting their house cleaned now they're not. I mean, I'm positive they're not the same customer as they were even 5 years ago. Things have changed a lot.
So everything that we did here basically gets us to this point here, which is the revenue number. That's this number here. So there's two more numbers we need: cost of goods sold and total operating expense. And this is really easy. If we say our loaded direct payroll,
LDPR. There you go.
and let's say LDPR to also direct payroll, what direct payroll to revenue?
Yep.
Okay, it's 45. And so this is my loaded direct payroll. This is just a dollar amount because I'm going to take this number and multiply it times my revenue. Dollar sign there. So that's that. And in my example, the operating expense is $25,000.
Linda is saying, Tom, that she does all in-home estimates for recurring clients.
What's our close rate?
Yeah. Let us know, Linda, what's your close rate?
Both of these numbers here are red, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
isn't this looking more like the big sheet, but we're boiling it down into just these three numbers here.
What's EXT, Tom? Extension? What's EXT? Oh,
EXT. I see
it now.
I took typing as a class in high school. Don't even do that anymore.
Yeah, they do. It's just now they do it in kindergarten.
And
98% close rate on those in-homes. I'm not surprised. You seen Linda? I can imagine that. I'm not surprised at all.
I'm going to pick my revenue and I'm going to subtract, I'm going to subtract my loaded direct payroll and my monthly operating expense, and I'm losing money at that level. And this is the ultimate green number, right?
Yeah, that's right. It should be a darker green, Tom. More important.
I can do that.
Really good green. Yeah, white's better.
I can do.
Yeah.
Okay. If I drag this down now, so it's not before long I'm making money. I'm making good money.
Yeah.
So in this operating expense isn't going to be completely fixed. As you get bigger, you're going to have to buy more stuff that's still going to look like a fixed cost. But this is kind of the whole logic behind the thing. And everything that we've been doing basically boils into managing these three numbers, make the revenue go up, and control your variable. Because you remember, this is your variable. This is your fixed. We can control those two.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tom, top of the hour, just FYI.
Yep.
I know we had a little bit of a late start, not much though.
Okay. Well, this is a good place for us to start. And we'll be back Monday, and we'll be spending some time this week talking about, how to, make the revenue per month go up, and a little bit about a couple of other numbers on the spreadsheet. And we'll be ready to move on to other things at that point. We got a couple of ideas that we're noodling around that'll be different.
You're going to want to be here next Thursday, where we're going to be talking about what we'll be doing the following week. So we'll have some information for you next Thursday for sure.
Thank you, guys. Have a safe rest of your week, and we'll see you next Monday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Bye-bye.